Have you ever thought about what it would take for you to impact change? What it would take for you to impact the things around you, your circumstances, the environments, the organizations that you're in, the way and the trends or the direction that your family structure is going? Have you ever thought about that? A lot of us have a lot to say, and we have a lot of input on what other people should be doing and how things should be carried out. But when it comes to change and our part that we're playing in it, I think we downplay our role. And I want your feedback on it. I want to know, how do you think about this? Because I've been whirling some thoughts around in my head, and I've come to realize that change and impact, or even if we talk about leadership on countries, organizations, anywhere, it normally takes two things: either influence or, quote unquote, the means, money. And normally when you have one, you get the next. But there's also another route. It's leading or making the change from right where you are. The old people say, every bucket is gonna have to stand on its bottom, one day. That day is gonna come. And let me know, what do you think about these steps? When it comes to impacting change, a lot of us realize that we sit right where we are, but I think we neglect the fact that we don't recognize that we're strategically placed for the things that are happening. And I think the first way that we can impact change outward is to impact or to execute change inward. Meaning that we first have to look inward for the things that we're not so good at and the things that we are good at, and start to double down on those things that we are good at, and start to get better at the things that we aren't good at. As we start to use that energy, what happens is that we start to develop ourselves. We start to become better, become more focused in certain areas, and people start to recognize our structure. People start to recognize our discipline. People start to recognize that, hey, this person has a courageous and a very good work ethic that I can learn from. And people call it the universe, God, or whatever, but people is drawn to structure. People like to be a part of organized things. People like to be a part of things, and people who know where they're going, that has direction and vision. And the first thing you have to do is, before you can impact change or have a direction, is that you first have to implement those things inside your life. That's the first step. What do you think? I think once you start to get good with how you direct your life, those fruits, and that would start to emanate. It would start to emanate with the relationships that you build, the contacts that you have, even your elevation or promotion or the impact that you have in the jobs and the organizations that you are in. You start to grow that influence because people start to see what you can do. From there, as you start to bring people around you, and you start to build, quote unquote, what I like to call a core. Or if we take a page out of the Bible, you start to build those, I want to use this word loosely, but apostles or disciples. And those people are, quote unquote, not worshiping you. No, but those are a sector of people that hang around one another. They believe in some of the same core principles, and they have, quote unquote, the exact same vision, the exact same goal. And you start to see this, whether you look in some churches or organizations, or even in some leaderships, you start to see that there's this core sector of people that are, quote unquote, committed to the cause. They're committed to the vision. Regardless of what happens, is those core set of people that rallies around, quote unquote, the leader. How he got there, it doesn't matter, but they're around them. The point is that they form that core and they're committed. Through that commitment, they're focused on the vision. And because, quote unquote, somebody executed change in their life, they've created this core of people around them. So now they can impact a greater variety of people and a greater amount of change around them. Let me know what you think. Tell me about it. What is your points? What would you consider, or what would be the steps that you would advise somebody on if they want to impact change? Whether it's they don't like the way an organization is running. I mean, even as simple as we have a lot of people who complain about family structures or lack thereof of family structures. Well, why aren't you doing something about it? I mean, why aren't you the one calling people on their birthdays and just saying, hey, just thinking about you, wishing you a happy birthday, didn't see you at the Sunday dinner, hey, what's going on? And I'm not talking nothing that's major, whereas you gotta be the one that's paying for the funerals or the one that's giving people lunch money or whatever. But why don't you be the glue that starts to bond people together and put people in spaces? So I want to know, what do you think about it? What would be some of the ways that you would strategically tell people that they should go about starting to impact change in the areas and environments where they are? Want to hear from you. Let me know. Remember, you can have the life you want. It's just up to you to create it.